Welcome to my new studio. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing you how I put together this studio basically from scratch here in my basement. It doesn't really matter where you are, whether you're upstairs in your bedroom, a corner of it, or if you have a garage, whatever you have, you can set up an easy studio that looks pretty good and will separate you from the background. And it's great for any kind of video that you wanna talk like this. So in my own life, the reason that I'm setting up the studio is because I am doing a video podcast here on the channel, and I'll be doing one episode a week or so, and it's called the Blog and Vlog, where I teach people how to blog. And what's the other thing? So if you like this kind of content and you want to start your own blog, I will help you out. I'm going to show you all of my real strategies in my Blog and Vlog podcast, but I thought it'd be a really great idea if I took you through how I put this studio together, which I'll be using to film every episode of the Blog and Vlog podcast. So let's get into it. So first off, why would you even have a studio? Why not just record this on your kitchen table or on your couch? And yes, you can totally do that, but having a set has a really big benefit, which is you have a consistent branding. You always, in every episode, have a consistent look. In this video, I'm gonna give you 3 tips to make your own home studio at home. But I guess it doesn't have to be at home. It could be anywhere. You can even make it in your car. Now, another benefit of having a home studio like this, say you get a new job somewhere else and you leave, you can get your consistent studio set up in your new location, because again, your background is always the same. Everything is always the same once you know what your studio looks like. In my case here, I'm using a paper roll for my backdrop. So that paper roll can be unrolled anywhere I am, no matter where I move. Even if you have a tech channel where you review phones and stuff like that, it's very simple for you just to put some LED colors in the background, have a paper roll, and then no matter where you move or where you go, you can always set up a little studio very quickly and have a consistent look and branding in all of your videos, which honestly gives it a level of polish that is very attractive. Right, so that's the first part of it done. Background is up, and I'm just using a color paper roll, and then I'll smooth it out so it'll come down like this, because I need to make sure that I don't get the ceiling in the shot. I would have to get like that close. The easiest way to do this is just to get a room where it doesn't have like windows like this, and then you just paint the background black or dark or something like that. I'm using a paper roll. You don't want to paint your walls, you can get one. This is a really big one, but you can get one that's like half as big. All right, now I gotta pull this down and then decorate the set up the cameras and lights, and make sure it all looks good. So tip number 1 is all about your camera, specifically how close your camera is to you or how far away your camera is from you. In this case, my camera is very close. I can reach out and touch you and ruin the glass on my camera lens if I wanted to, but it's very, very close. It also messes up the focus. Or you can have your camera far away. If I were to move this camera all the way back there, which I'm not gonna do. Actually, I am gonna do it. Here, we'll do it now. So I move my camera way back there. Now, of course, I have a wide angle lens. Now, the effect of that is you can see everything else going around me. And if you want to have a nice home studio, sometimes it can be challenging to put your camera far back because you get a lot of the shot. If you want to look like a teacher, then you put the camera back and you have a kind of zoom in tight lens like this. For something like a video podcast, you're gonna want the camera really close, because when the camera is right here on this tripod, the effect is it looks like I'm talking to a friend. It looks like it's a one-to-one thing instead of like this, which is a big lecture. It looks like I'm lecturing, I'm teaching. Now again, that's all about your personal style and how you want to appear in your video. For this type of podcast, wanted it to feel very personal, very one-on-one. So to achieve that look, I got the camera very, very close to me. If you use a wide angle lens, you can get the camera very close like this and still have a nice separation from the background. If you're using a lens that's more narrow, more telephoto, like this shot here, again, it's going to look like the viewer is far away and there is distance between you. So this is my basement where I film all of my stuff. And yes, it is a bigger space. So if you are at a house or an apartment in New York or something and you don't have a giant white basement to film in, that's okay. because the filming area that I'm using is very small. In fact, it's already built through the magic of editing back there, and you can see it's actually a fairly small space. We have the backdrop, we have a table, and then we have the tripod, which is right up to it. So you really only need this amount of space. In fact, this is kind of a bigger set than you'd actually need. If you're just at your house and you just have a wall, a white wall, then just push up to it and you're gonna be fine. Have a table with a few props on it, and then have your seat and then your tripod in front of it, and you can just push everything up. One thing I really recommend when it comes to having your home studio is painting the wall black. A lot of my videos have actually had my white wall. I've done videos here on the couch on this channel, and the white wall is fine, but I found that if you do black, it separates you and gives your channel a more dramatic look. It also focuses on you more. If you are gonna have white, try to get a white that's not the same tone. I saw a spider on me. There are so many insects in this basement. Okay, yeah, so doing a flat backdrop like this gives me a little more space. Could have just painted the background instead of using the paper roll at this point. Whatever, now I don't have to paint. Backdrop will work fine. Filming will be kind of like this, although this backdrop will be darker. Right now it's a little too bright, but once that's very dark, it'll look really good to have a nice black background there.
Okay, we're setting up our podcast background today. I don't know what else to say.
Are you looking for confirmation? So the hair light lights your hair, makes your hair look good. So as I get closer to this, my hair should be looking better and better and better because it's lighting me from behind, which is always nice. You get kind of a halo effect, which looks good. So doing these videos are a little challenging because I also have to use this video camera to set everything in the background and make sure it's in the right spot. My second tip when it comes to setting up your own home studio is to put stuff behind your lens or in front of your lens, or both. To give you a specific example, in my scene right here, I ended up putting a little table and a little shelf over here, and these shelves have potted plants. So I went to the nursery today. I looked around for plants that would be really good indoors with a lot of shade, but having these little plants gives the background a little pop of color, but more importantly, it creates the illusion of depth.
Would be good. It's a snake plant.
Like this one or this one?
I
also like using stuff that's green because that fits with my color. So I'm doing a black background and then I have green. It's different than my skin tone, so my skin will look pretty good. And the background will be a nice cool color. So it'll give a nice separation between me and all of the background stuff. And I think it'll look really nice. Being outside is very nice. Anyway, we're gonna go in now and pack. Do you have your wallet? Now you can see all the adult diapers that I keep in here. I'm glad I embarrassed myself on YouTube for that. Anything that embarrasses me needs to stay in. All right, so we spent like what, 30 bucks? And this is gonna make the studio look so much better. All right, we're done. Let's go, we're good. My third tip is about lighting. When it comes to our lighting, we have two major lights. These are the lights that are the most important. Nothing else really matters, but there are some other lights in the scene, which you probably have noticed. One is this one right here. This is called a practical light, a light that is in a scene that looks like it should be there, right? So if you have a lamp or you have something like that, it doesn't really light me. It's just in the scene, sort of like a prop. Now, the benefit of a practical light like that is, again, it adds more separation. It adds a splash of color into the scene. They generally look good. In this case, it looks very domestic because it's a house light, but you can do LEDs. There's tech channels that do that all the time. And what you might not also notice is there's another light right back here. I'll show you. So this light right back here basically lights this potted plant. Hello. As I switch this off, you'll see that it kind of blends too much into the background. So, and just for the heck of it, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this light off too. You can see the difference between them. Obviously, it's pretty dramatic. This is just like an IKEA light that I got. You can see just even with this vlogging right here, it really looks good to have that little light there, especially, you know, as I'm setting up my podcasting area, having some lights behind always looks good. So that's the idea. This is not a practical light. This is your hair light. Now, if you don't have this, it's okay. You don't really need a light above you like that, but having a light behind you that's shining at you, even if you get like a cheap light from IKEA or an LED light, something like that, shining it behind you also will make you stick out from the background. And the name of the game when it comes to setting up your studio, you want to stand out as much as possible. So because I'm the closest thing to the camera right now, the camera focuses on my head and the background gets nice and blurry. Now, if I were to, for example, move closer to the background here, the closer I get and the less stuff in between me and the background, the more flat the video gets. So I will give you an example of how much the background will change and how much more boring, let's say, the video will get as I move closer to the background. So I'll take my camera here. Okay, so I've taken my camera off my tripod. I'm holding it with an arm out like this and trying to keep it as stable as I can, but you can see that without having those potted plants or anything behind me, me and the wall kind of blend into one. It doesn't look really good, but as soon as I bring this back forward, I mean, this is really only maybe 1 or 2 feet that I'm actually physically moving the camera in the space, but by physically moving the camera in the space, just that little amount where I'm hiding this stuff all behind me, this beautiful ivy. Isn't that beautiful? It gives me depth and separation from the background, which makes my home studio just sing that much more. When it comes to the props, by the way, you want to decide how it plays into the story that you're crafting with your video. So for me, I'm doing a podcast that's about blogging and about vlogging. So the effect of having plants for my branding, it feels like being at home. A lot of blogging is about you being at home, writing, working on your laptop. It's very domestic. Now, if you were doing a camera review blog, for example, you would want more industrial looks. Maybe you would want light stands visible. I'm pointing here because there's a giant light stand there. Maybe you'd want light stands that are visible. Maybe you'd want cameras in the background. Maybe you'd want an industrial look instead of this kind of like wood. I don't know if that's wood. I don't think anything from IKEA is actually made of wood. Whatever your props are, just make sure that they're separate between you and the background. You want a little space. You don't want to get carried away, because if you do, then things can look really messy and sloppy and distracting. You want the stuff in the background to be just enough to give a flavor of what your channel, what your content is all about. Anyway, if this video was helpful, be sure to like and subscribe, and be sure to check out my video podcast, The Blog and Vlog. Reminds me of Steak and Shake, or Steak and Bake, or Shake and Bake. Also, one other really important thing, I am going to be reviewing blogs and vlogs that you guys submit and post in my new group, which is called Launch Your First Blog. And in it, you can post up any SEO questions, any blogging or vlogging, production, camera, any question about producing content yourself and getting it out there either on YouTube or on your blog. And I will be helping and giving feedback. And most importantly, I will be reviewing live on my channel the blogs and vlogs that are posted in that group. So I can't wait to see. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. And again, be sure to go to the Launch Your First Blog Facebook group by clicking the link below. I'll see you guys next time.